Hello and welcome to our Gold Learning viewers. I'm Fiona Lang-Sharp, IBCLC and Director of Communications here at Gold Learning. Well, welcome everyone. I have the pleasure of sitting down friend and colleague Laurie Isenstadt. Welcome back to Gold Perinatal. It's great to have you here today. Hi, Laurie.
Hi.
Hi, that's good. Okay, we thought we didn't have you there for a second, so that's awesome. Welcome to Gold Perinatal. It's great to have you here. Great topic, breastfeeding class. What's the point? That's the question that we're asking, right? And so I know you're going to take us through some of those things in just a moment. But as per normal, I want you to sort of reintroduce yourself. But really, who doesn't know you? Because I know that you have this incredible podcast. And if you're listening in and just hearing me say that for the first time, you need to go check it out on Laurie's website. Amazing, amazing work that she's doing there. And so with that, I'm going to pass the mic over to you, Laurie. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do every day.
All right. Thank you, Fiona. So, yes, my name is Laurie Isenstadt, and I have come up the ranks from a childbirth educator to a birth and postpartum doula to a lactation consultant, which I've been doing for about 20 years as an IBCLC. And I'm originally from New York, from Long Island, New York, and I'm recently, I shouldn't say recently, it feels like recently, but I'm now living in Phoenix, Arizona. I have a wonderful husband, Alan, who helps me a lot with the business and the podcast. And we're married 38 years, and it's still weird to say, but we have three adult children who are all living and working and contributing to society in ways that we're extremely pleased with. So I'm very happy about that. And I have a private practice as a lactation consultant here. So I meet with moms in my home office, or I offer home visits and Skype visits. So the joke with my family is that I live, eat, and breathe breastfeeding. And so that's a big, big part of my life, and as well as enjoying my family and the weather here in Arizona.
Ah, well, I know this to be true of you. This is what you do. This is what we know when we Google you online. That's what we find. It is all about breastfeeding, right? Which is who you are online, correct, Laurie?
It is when it was interesting when I was trying to come up with a name with my business. There's so many things that say breastfeeding in it. And one day I said to my kids, I don't know what to call myself anymore. It's just all about breastfeeding. And my daughter said, "That's it, mommy. It's all about breastfeeding." So I just carry that on with everything that I do. My business name is All About Breastfeeding. I have a podcast on iTunes and it's called All About Breastfeeding. And it just really says everything that I do.
And it speaks volume. And you get to interview some pretty cool people, right, Laurie?
Oh yeah. Well, I've interviewed you, Fiona, and
Ah,
you've had a wonderful story to share about all of your breastfeeding journeys. I've interviewed many book authors, Jessica
yes.
Shortall. I've interviewed Dr. Jack Newman. I've interviewed lots of local midwives here where I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I've interviewed um, quite a few people the woman who wrote The Big Latch with names escapes me, but quite a few book authors. Maureen Minchin, who was wonderful.
Oh,
She
yes.
gave a fabulous interview, and she's funny because this book that she has is real thick, and she said basically I've just
Mhm.
downloaded everything from my brain into the book, which is wonderful because we have a lot of people in this field, and a lot of us have everything in our heads and not
Yeah.
necessarily to share for future generations. So she put it in this trilogy, which is fabulous. And I've also interviewed many other IBCLCs around the world, and some have specialties. So, women who talk about interesting things like breastfeeding aversion and DMER. So, the podcast introduces me and the rest of the world because it's listened to worldwide by thousands of people. And it introduces everybody to a lot of things about breastfeeding that only people in the industry get to hear, and now I'm exposing just the everyday mom to it. So I love doing it.
Yeah, no, it is phenomenal and I mean enlightening really because you get an opportunity to really speak with the authors and professionals in the field about what they do specifically, and of course they love talking about what they do. And so I can guarantee you right now, I'm looking at your website because I was curious to see like the most recent podcasts that you have up, because I do actually listen to them as well, and find them really interesting. But there's some really great people up there. So what a great opportunity just to again continuing to grow in the field. And I know that when I was talking to you, I was learning something, again about myself, but about you and what we can do and how we can continue moving this movement forward, which is important to so many of us. So big kudos to you to keep doing that.
Yes, my mission was to not only normalize breastfeeding globally, but just to expand everybody's knowledge because I think you said it before, to a certain degree, it only helps so much to preach to the choir. Like I
Hmm.
want business owners to understand why women who go to work, why they need time to pump and why they can't just race to a bathroom for 10 minutes, pump and get back to
Sure.
their desk. So we
Yeah,
need
yeah.
people in all kinds of businesses to understand the breastfeeding mom and the breastfeeding working and pumping mom, and this exposes them to it.
Absolutely. Well, the podcast has become the voice behind, some of the literature, and I think that it's conversation that builds relationships. And so without conversation, we're not really building enough relationships. And I think that's why it's taking so long to, get policy into practice, because there is lots of policy in place that shows why these things are important and why we need to do that. So I value so much. I mean, that's what I do. I am that conversational, relational person. So of course, that's why it's so appealing, in terms of what you do. So again, it's great to see that you're continuing on this journey. Um, so let's shift into a couple of things. There's a couple of really important things I want to ask you because I know I was talking to you offline and I had a little snippet of what's coming up with you. But tell us what you're currently working on and what's coming up really soon.
All right. Well, in addition to my home based practice, one of the things that I'm incredibly excited about is the All About Breastfeeding audio masterclass that I'm releasing in a couple of weeks. And again, this really serves to help push my mission forward and bring it globally because
Right.
this is an audio class that helps mothers and their partners, and it's something that their mothers and mother-in-laws can sit at the computer and listen to because you know this, Fiona, that it's great for us to teach moms what they know about breastfeeding, but sometimes if their partners don't know everything that they know, they're the
Right.
ones who are home with them and they're the
Mhm.
ones who need to be helping them with breastfeeding. So when they're struggling, because we can't put lactation consultants in every home, right? So
Right.
if the partner knows everything that she knows, then he or she will be able to really help the mom when she's struggling. And so that's what this class does. And it's not just about breastfeeding and how to, it is literally helping moms think about it throughout their whole pregnancy and plan for being home during the postpartum days. So I talk about that, how breastfeeding takes time and patience and practice. And I want to have this, I want the expectation for moms to shift that
Mm.
it is, of course, we know it's a natural thing, but we know it doesn't come naturally. We know it for many people, it comes easy, and for as equal amount of people, they struggle. So I want them to get into the mindset that I'm going to need to take a lot of time to practice this skill, and it's not going to come overnight. And so I want them to start preparing for it ahead of time in ways of who's going to help me with household chores, who's going to shop, who's going to cook, who's going to watch other kids, what do I do if I need help? So I tell them to start putting away just even $5 a week so that if after all is said and done, you're struggling with breastfeeding, you have that money to be able to get help so that it shouldn't be a barrier. And then I also tell them, you know what, if you don't spend it on lactation, then you'll spend it on a massage, a nice dinner, a date night, or something. So it will be well used. So this class is an audio class that has videos that go with it and I'm releasing it in a couple of weeks, and I'm really excited to put it out to the
Mm.
world. Yeah.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Well, some very exciting things happening for you hard at work there. That's great. All right, let's get into the presentation that you're going to be speaking to at our Gold Perinatal Conference. And you can see right there on the screen, breastfeeding class, what's the point? And that's a big, it's a short question, but jeepers, it's a big question. Because yeah, I want to know more. Um, excuse me, but let's start by just asking you, just give us give us a couple of inside scoop things that you're excited about sharing with our listening audience as you've been putting this together.
Well, I'm really excited because I think that we have so many books and the internet and so much access to breastfeeding information, and yet I feel like it gets either it's watered down so much to the point where we're doing such a great job now globally and having women initiate breastfeeding. But once they do, if they're struggling, then what do they do? And to me, that's the point of taking a class because I hear a lot of providers now saying to moms, you know what, it's fairly easy, just go with it, have your baby, and if you're having problems afterwards, then we'll see what we can do. And I
Right.
want people to know what are the most common challenges that moms have in the early days of breastfeeding, how to figure out what they are and how to prevent them. And if it happens, telling them tips that they could have on how to self treat and also letting them know when that's not happening at the home and when they need to seek professional help. So, on a global level, I want people to really come back to and say, yes, I need to take a breastfeeding class because this is something after the birth that I'm going to be doing for a whole year, and I'm going to be doing literally 60 times a week, every week. So let me learn all I can and let other providers know that it is important for them to strongly encourage their breastfeeding moms to take a class. So I would love for them to kind of get it into their head that this is something that all breastfeeding women need to do. It's like it's part of the
Standard.
whole program. It's
Yeah.
standard,
Yeah.
exactly. And I want them
Totally.
to, yeah, and I want to talk about the importance of it. And, the thing is that when I talk to providers, they will often say, I can't be with her. So she came in for a 10-minute pediatric appointment. I can't really help her. I don't have the time, even if they know about lactation. So I'm trying to get people into the mindset that this is a natural thing to do, but it doesn't come naturally, and that
Right.
parents need to know about it. And even more important, whoever is going to be spending time with her postpartum, they're not putting the baby to the boob, but they need to know everything else about breastfeeding that this new mom
Totally.
needs to know.
I love that. I think that's so true today. And, there really isn't a parent out there that doesn't want to be of support when they can, and would love to know, everything so that they can, again, it's about making an informed decision. How am I the person that can help you? No. What do I need to do next? Those are the types of values, that we should have instilled you know as a norm, so to speak, moving forward. And I know that we're gravitating towards that, but it's a slow process. And I think there's still some people out there are not in recognition of that breastfeeding is not for a day. Birthing is for a day, and we've put so much effort into that. And now here we are, for most families anyways, breastfeeding is not for a day. They want to breastfeed much longer, and so here we are trying to support them in that manner.
Yes, exactly. How many times have we both heard a mom say to us, I wish someone would have told me dot dot dot.
Every time. I
Yeah.
mean, there really isn't, a time that I don't sense that. And this is such a good conversation, Laurie. I have to tell you that, in doing these interviews with quite a few of our speakers this time, not just this topic, but other things surrounding perinatal, like the whole factor of how lost, the partners are, the fathers are in this circumstance because they just don't know and they want to. People want to know what they can do for that breastfeeding dyad. And you can't always call in an IBCLC. They're not sitting in your home 24/7, like we said. But, there is an element of family members needing to know this information in order to be able to support. And then, of course, the mother herself. It's such a gift when she can come in with at least a baseline on what is normal, because that's the problem. Once we see her, she's like, I wish I had known that that wasn't normal. someone had told me that my nipples were supposed to be sore. And so I believe that, that those are all those elements that we run into, of course, right?
Exactly. And the mother's mother or mother-in-law, how many of them are having wonderful support from the females in their family who are staying with them, but we've missed several generations of moms breastfeeding. So many of the grandmas
Yeah.
have not breastfed, and yet
Oh,
they are supporting the mom in many ways. But when it comes to breastfeeding struggles, they don't know how to help them. And
oh,
so I want them to
so
know
true.
what mothers need to know.
Oh yeah, it's a whole family business. All right, well, Laurie, we could keep it going, and we will. We'll keep the conversation rolling. We'll do it offline, and we'll be chatting online as well on Tuesday, the 9th of October. That's the day that you are going to be with us live. So this is when everyone can come and join us and have some more of this conversation. Listen to this amazing presentation by Laurie Isenstadt. She's going to be with us October 9th. So check it out online because the dates, of course, are all subject to where you live in the world. So you want to make sure that you've checked out your time zone and all those types of things. So you can do that. Do that now at goldperinatal.com. You can also go to the website and register for our free and open access keynote presentations. Woot woot. I have to give that a shout out as well because that's a great way to see really what's going to be coming up here, opening the conference up on October 1st, which is, Laurie, it's just right around the corner. Time is flying by this fall, and you will be with us really soon too on October 9th. Now, of course, if you are not able to join us, as in not you, Laurie, but our listening audience right now, if you can't come to any of the live events, of course, we'll have it all recorded for you and packaged up really nicely, and then we'll have our exclusive delegate forums as well, where you'll be able to ask questions of Laurie and our other speakers as well. Thank you so much, Laurie, for sitting down and chatting with me today.
You're very welcome.
And once again, to our listening audience, thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you all online.